In the vast silence of our planet, there are places where logic loses its grip, where nature itself seems to speak in riddles. From the depths of unexplored caves to the skies that shimmer with unexplainable lights, Earth hides stories that science has not yet managed to decode. These are not legends born of imagination, but real events measured, recorded, and still beyond full understanding. For centuries, humankind has tried to explain every corner of existence. We mapped the oceans, climbed the mountains, and sent our machines into space. Yet beneath our feet and within the winds that whisper through forgotten lands, mysteries still breathe. They remind us that for all our progress, the universe retains secrets that refuse to be tamed by reason. There are places where compasses spin wildly, where rivers disappear into the ground never to return, where lights dance across the horizon without a source. Scientists call them anomalies. The locals call them curses or signs. But the truth lies somewhere in between, a truth that might redefine what we know about the world itself. Tonight, we step beyond the comfort of explanations. We enter the untouched wilderness of the unknown, guided only by curiosity and wonder. Because sometimes it is not the answers that define us, but the questions we are brave enough to ask. What if nature still holds codes that no human mind can break? What if the Earth itself remembers things we have long forgotten? This is the story of 5 natural mysteries that still remain unsolved. Enigmas carved into the skin of the world, waiting for those who dare to look closer. Every mystery has an origin, a quiet moment in history when the ordinary first bent toward the impossible. The story of Earth's greatest enigmas does not begin in laboratories or research centers, but in the wilderness, where nature itself writes its own language. It begins with a whisper, a flicker of light over the horizon, a strange sound echoing through the canyons, a formation of stone that defies the logic of geology. The first people to witness these anomalies did not have the tools of modern science. They had only their senses and their fear. To them, the unknown was not something to be studied, but something to be respected. Ancient tribes carved symbols into rock faces, describing fire that fell from the sky or rivers that flowed backward for a single night. To them, the earth was alive, an unpredictable spirit capable of miracles and destruction alike. Centuries passed, civilizations rose and fell, yet the same phenomena continued to appear. In the forests of South America, explorers vanished without a trace, their compasses spinning wildly as if magnetic forces twisted reality itself. In the icy north, strange orbs of light danced above the tundra, moving with intention, as if they were alive. In the deserts of Africa, stones shifted position overnight, leaving long trails across the sand, though no creature or wind could explain how. With the birth of science came the promise of answers. But the more we observed, the more the mysteries deepened. Instruments recorded data that contradicted the laws of physics. Cameras captured moments that defied time and motion. Even in the age of satellites and artificial intelligence, these phenomena refuse to be categorized, mocking our obsession with order and logic. Perhaps these puzzles are not flaws in our understanding, but windows into a greater design, signs that nature's complexity surpasses the limits of human perception. For every solved question, a dozen new ones emerge. The deeper we dig, the more we realize that knowledge is not an ending, but a labyrinth without a center. And so, the story of these 5 natural mysteries begins not with a discovery, but with a question, one that still echoes in every scientific journal, every explorer's diary, and every sleepless night of those who have witnessed the impossible. What if nature itself doesn't want to be fully understood? As curiosity grew, humanity's search for truth turned into an expedition across the edges of the possible. Each mystery became a door to another world, forcing scientists, explorers, and dreamers to face questions that blurred the line between fact and myth. The journey toward understanding was not just about collecting evidence, it was about confronting the limits of what we could comprehend. In the heart of the Pacific Ocean lies the Mariana Trench, the deepest point on Earth. Submersibles descended into the darkness, their lights slicing through a void untouched by sunlight since the dawn of time. Down there, cameras recorded shapes that moved against the current, life forms no one had ever classified, existing in conditions that should have made survival impossible. Pressure alone could crush steel, yet something was alive. What did it eat? How did it evolve? The data gave no clear answer. The deeper the exploration went, the more it resembled a descent into another realm entirely. Far above the ground in the Hestalen Valley of Norway, glowing orbs of light danced across the night sky, hovering, darting, and vanishing as if aware of being watched. Researchers set up instruments for decades, recording their speed, luminosity, and chemical traces. Some believed it was plasma. Others thought it was something far older, an energy the Earth releases in response to magnetic tensions. Yet every test brought contradictions. Sometimes the lights behaved like gas, sometimes like intelligent objects. Even now, no consistent explanation exists. Then there is the sailing stones of Death Valley, massive rocks that silently glide across the desert floor, leaving long trails in the dust. For generations, no one had ever seen them move. The scientists installed time-lapse cameras, waiting for years. When the footage finally revealed their motion, it was not caused by humans or animals, but thin sheets of ice that formed during rare cold nights, an elegant dance of physics and chance. But even this answer felt incomplete, because some stones still shifted when no ice appeared, as if something unseen continued to play by its own rules. In the forests of the Amazon, explorers recorded humming sounds that came from nowhere, low frequencies powerful enough to vibrate the ground, yet invisible to all instruments. Locals called it the Earth's breath, a sound that warned of change. Similar phenomena were later heard beneath the ocean, beneath glaciers, beneath the crust of volcanoes. Could the planet itself have a voice? Could these frequencies be part of a language we are only beginning to detect? Each discovery, rather than solving the riddle, only widened it. Data replaced legends, yet the wonder remained. The more we measured, the more nature seemed to shift her face, as if protecting the last fragments of mystery she still owned. And so mankind continued to wander between the known and the unknowable, collecting fragments of truth, trying to build a bridge across an abyss that might never be crossed. But every search for truth reaches a breaking point. There comes a moment when the instruments fail, when logic collapses, and when even the bravest explorers begin to question what they truly see. That is the crisis of understanding, the point where knowledge trembles before the unknown. In 1977, a research team at Ohio State University picked up a powerful radio signal from deep space, a signal that lasted exactly 72 seconds. It was so strong and so precise that the astronomer who found it circled it on the printout and wrote a single word beside it. Wow! Decades later, the wow signal remains unexplained. It was never detected again. No star, no planet, no pulsar could account for it. For the first time, humanity realized that even in our age of technology, we are still surrounded by questions that silence us. In Siberia, the Tunguska event turned night into fire. A massive explosion flattened over 2,000 square kilometers of forest in 1908, yet left no crater, no trace of an impact. The shockwaves circled the planet twice. Trees fell in perfect spirals, animals vanished, and the air glowed for weeks. Was it a meteor, a comet, or something else entirely? No one could say. What terrified scientists most was not what they found, but what they didn't. Meanwhile, divers who explored the Baltic Sea anomaly returned with stories of malfunctioning equipment, disrupted compasses, and an object resting beneath the waves that seemed to absorb sonar signals like a shadow. It wasn't rock, nor metal, nor anything familiar. When samples were taken, they crumbled into dust, leaving nothing to study. Even the most rational minds began to wonder if some mysteries were meant to defend themselves. In each of these moments, nature confronted humanity with its own arrogance. We believed we could measure everything, classify everything, own everything. But these events showed us a mirror, a reminder that the world is not a machine to be mastered, but a living labyrinth, shifting each time we think we've found its center. The crisis was not just scientific, it was existential. How do you continue to search for meaning when the answers refuse to appear? when every discovery deepens the mystery instead of solving it. When the earth itself seems to whisper, or you are not meant to know, that whisper is where the real fear begins. Not the fear of danger, but the fear of never understanding. Out of every collapse comes a moment of stillness, a pause where the human spirit must choose between despair and awe. In that silence after the chaos of discovery comes a new kind of understanding. Not the kind written in equations or graphs, but the kind that lives in the space between mystery and faith. Scientists return to their instruments. Explorers return to the wild. Yet something had changed. They no longer searched to conquer the unknown, but to listen to it. The realization dawned that perhaps nature's riddles are not obstacles, but invitations to humility, to curiosity, to wonder. The earth does not hide her secrets to mock us. She hides them to remind us that life itself was born from the unknown. The more they studied, the clearer it became that every mystery, even the strangest, followed a pattern of balance. The unexplainable lights in the sky could be tied to the Earth's magnetic breath. The deep-sea anomalies might be echoes of geological memory. The signals, the sounds, the motions, all parts of an orchestra too vast for one lifetime to interpret. Understanding no longer meant solving. It meant recognizing that the natural world is not a puzzle to be completed, but a story to be experienced, one chapter at a time. And in this realization, something profound unfolded. The mysteries were not proof of ignorance, but proof of depth, proof that the universe still holds layers of meaning beyond the reach of human perception. The scientists who once demanded answers began to speak differently. They used words like a wonder, a beauty, and a grace. The explorers who once sought glory found peace in simply observing. Because the greatest revelation was not that the mysteries resisted explanation, but that they invited us to keep asking. To gaze upon an unexplainable phenomenon and whisper, maybe I don't need to know everything. That was the first step toward true understanding, the kind that humbles, enlightens, and connects us back to the world we thought we had mastered. There comes a moment when the search for truth transcends science, when curiosity turns into reverence and the pursuit of knowledge becomes a form of prayer. That moment is the summit of human understanding, the point where reason meets wonder. Each mystery, from the depths of the ocean to the silence of the stars, speaks the same hidden language. It tells us that the universe is not random, but purposeful. That within every unexplained light, every whisper of the wind, there is a design too vast for the human mind to contain. What if nature is not something we are meant to solve, but something we are meant to feel? The philosopher may call it truth, the poet may call it beauty, the scientist may call it complexity, but in the end, they are all reaching for the same thing, the unseen intelligence that breathes through everything. The earth spins, rivers carve valleys, storms rise and vanish, and behind it all is an order that no microscope or telescope can capture. Perhaps these 5 unsolved mysteries endure because they are not meant to be explained away. They are meant to remind us of our place in the cosmos, that we are participants, not masters. That for all our discoveries, we are still standing on the threshold of something infinitely greater. In the quiet between questions, humanity rediscovers its purpose, not to dominate, not to define, but to witness. To stand beneath the vast sky and say, I see, I wonder, and I am alive, the summit of understanding is not the end of mystery. It is the beginning of wisdom. And so as the final light fades and the echoes of our questions dissolve into silence, we are left with a humbling truth. The earth remains mysterious, not because we have failed to explain it, but because it was never meant to be fully revealed. Mystery is not a flaw in creation. It is its heartbeat. Across centuries, humanity has built towers of reason and sailed endless oceans and reached beyond the clouds. Yet even now, with satellites tracing every movement of the planet, there are corners of this world that remain untamed, untouched, and unexplained. Perhaps that is not a limitation, but a gift, for without mystery there can be no wonder, and without wonder there can be no meaning. The 5 natural enigmas you've witnessed are not merely puzzles to solve. They are reflections, mirrors of our own limits, our own desire to understand, our endless hunger for truth. They remind us that knowledge is not the end of the journey, but the compass that keeps us moving forward. So the next time you look at the horizon or feel the wind move through the trees, remember this: the universe still hides stories beneath its silence. Some may never be told, some may never be understood. But they will always call to us softly, endlessly, inviting us to listen. Because perhaps the greatest mystery of all is not out there, but within us, the part of the human spirit that refuses to stop asking why.